Hey everyone, my name is Carly and welcome back to my channel. Hey everyone, my name is Carly and welcome back to my channel. And also, sorry it's been 2 months since I've uploaded a video. More like a month. No, it's been 2 months. It's July now. It's July. It's 2 months. I'm sorry. I didn't come out with a May wrap up because I didn't want to have too many wrap ups in a row. And well, joke's on me because wrap up queen. So here is going to be my May and June wrap up. And hopefully this will go better than my first time trying to film this because it apparently filmed like 20 minutes of this and then just cut out and then randomly filmed some 9-second video of me packing everything up. So let's get a whole video this time, guys. On to the wrap up. If I remember correctly, I read 4 books in both May and June. And so I'm going to do my best to talk about them quickly and coherently. Let's do this. First book I read in May was Leah on Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5, though I'm leaning more towards like a 3-ish out of 5, the more I sit on it. This follows our main character Leah, who was a character in Simon vs. Homo Sapiens and kind of sort of a character in the upside of Unrequited, and it's what, their senior year and prom's coming up and things are happening with their friend group and she's got a crush on one of her friends and it's prom and she's uncomfortable with herself because teenagerness, really. It was really cute. It's basically what I did expect from a Becky Albertalli book with these characters. I did feel like the romance was maybe just a little bit rushed and I definitely felt like the end was just, again, just a little too rushed and wrapped up way too nicely. Like it ended and I wanted more. I wanted to know more of the characters' reactions to things rather than that was not at all what we got. Second book I read in May was The Trials of Apollo, The Burning Maze, so book number 3 by Riordan. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I have mentioned this many times before. I love this series. This is Riordan. I feel like at some of his best. I love this series so much. It follows Apollo. This third book follows Apollo and he's still on his quest to get back his godly powers, and I'm not going to say much else because this is the third book in the series. But I really like about this series is that each book we follow Apollo, but we get his like different characters from the previous series come into play to help Apollo out on his journey, and that's always one of my favorite parts. This one, man, oh man, if you're looking for a happy Trials of Apollo Riordan book, this is honestly not it. I will give you that spoiler. It was a lot sadder than I was expecting, and I was not expecting to end this book and be kind of as emotional about it as I was. But all in all, it was still a great book. It's still, like I said, I will read basically anything with Riordan that Riordan writes, and this is no exception. And it's still a series I really love, and I cannot wait for the next book because things just need to get happier. Next book I read in May was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling, and I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you have not read it, this follows Harry Potter in his first year at Hogwarts, discovering that he's a wizard and this truth behind his past and how kind of sort of starting to see the importance of himself, if that makes sense. It was wonderfully magical and it's kind of fun seeing how the writing style has changed from this first book to kind of some later editions, but it was still enjoyable. I loved it. 4.5 out of 5 because Harry Potter. And then the last book I read in May was The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslye Walton. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars, kind of disappointingly. This follows our main character Nor Blackwood, who is the latest in the line of Blackwood witches, I think it is. Basically, they're all descended from this one particular lady, and each person descended has sort of a different power or ability they are able to use, I guess. And Nor lives with her grandma and her grandma's partner, and she wants kind of basically nothing to do with her mom. Her mom is not a very nice lady and ended up running off when Nor is very young. But all of a sudden, in one of the shops in this little town in the San Juan Islands that Nor lives on, a book shows up, and this book is called The Price Guide to the Occult, and it's written by Noor's mother. And this book is basically like you can catalog order of spells kind of thing. And Noor's mother just becomes more popular and famous and all this stuff, and finally ends up showing back up at the island in the house, and things go not well. I wanted more from this book. I will say I love the atmosphere. I will read anything and everything that takes place in like the Pacific Northwest, like this whole San Juan Island area. I will read anything and everything. I will play anything and everything. I will watch like anything and everything. Like I love this area so much, and because I'm so familiar with it, it's really, I always feel like the atmosphere that these that when things take place in this area just works so well. And for this kind of more witchy, darker kind of theme, it taking place on an island in like the middle of nowhere kind of thing in this area, just it works very, very well. So I will definitely give it that. And also, if you have not seen this book, it is one of the prettiest books I've ever seen. The cover is like black and yellow, so very striking, and then the pages are dyed like red. It's so beautiful. One of the prettiest books I've ever seen, which makes me so sad that I didn't love this as much as I wanted to. Things I kind of didn't really like about it, definitely, I felt like the story took a little while to get going, and I was kind of bored a lot of this book. And the romance between Noor and the guy she likes, there was no build-up besides the fact that he told her she was beautiful one day after French and then disappeared for a few years, and now he's back and suddenly they're together, and it just, there wasn't a good build-up. It made no sense. And I love good romance. I like romance. It just needs to be done well, and this was not done well in my opinion. Moving on to June. First book I finished in June was History Is All You Left Me by Silvera. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. This follows our main character Griffin as he deals with the death of his best friend slash ex-boyfriend. Oh man, I've been wanting to read this book since I first heard about it, and I accidentally ordered the wrong book last year, and I finally found this at my library, and I finally got the chance to read it, and I'm so happy I did. This book was so poignant and powerful, I felt like, and very, very sad. Like, this is not a happy book. I mean, I loved this book. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's so beautiful. It's so sad. I don't think I could ever read this book again. I kept kind of putting it down because I kept tearing up like throughout the entire book, but I loved everything about him. So happy I finally got to read it. The next book I finished in June was The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, books, whatever we want to do. This follows our main character Vasia, who lives in like a small town, Russian town, and like way in the past, like a booktuber, like one of the booktubers I watched that read this, that made me want to pick it up, said like she's saying like 14th, 15th century, like way in the past. And it's got a very fairy tale-esque feel in that Vasia kind of trying to save her town after her town really turns away from the old gods and stops leaving food and such for them, and so that they all become weak. And then this more powerful, not great thing is starting to wake up, and it's not going to be good. It's not good for the town. Let's just end it there. But this book was so beautifully written, and so I loved the characters. I loved the setting. I loved the story. I liked the very whimsical fairy tale feel to it. Like, I mean, I don't mean whimsical, like I feel like when I say whimsical I automatically think of like Coraline and Timber and stuff, but it's not that kind of whimsical, but it's definitely got a sort of whimsical vibe to it. It was really good. I finished this and I thought it was like a one and done kind of book, and then I found out there's a second book, so I need to get my hands on that book sometime soon, please. The next book I read in June was Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzi Leah. I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. This follows our main character Monty as he is going on this like year-long European tour before he has to kind of settle down and take over his father's estate. And while he's on this tour with his best friend and his sister and a kind of babysitter of sorts, things go haywire, and him, Percy, and his sister Felicity end up going on a much greater adventure than they were originally imagining. Yeah, this was talked about a lot when it first came out last year, and I'm finally now reading it. But I will say it was very, very cute. It was very fast. It was a very fun read. But I think for me, it maybe got hyped up a little too much because I wasn't absolutely in love with this book. I will also say the writing style reminded me a lot more of Riordan's writing in that it didn't have the same kind of, I guess, maturity as some other YA writers and books that I read, which is not a bad thing, but it definitely felt like there was a little bit of a level difference between this book and some other writers' writing style. And then the final book I read in June, I ended June on a great note, let me tell you, was, I'm gonna probably pronounce this wrong, Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I gave this a 3.75 out of 5 stars. This book was so good. It was so much better than anything I was expecting. This follows our main character Sorcerer and Rowan as they kind of navigate through the Scythedom, which they live in this world where basically everything is perfect. There's no wars, there's no poverty, there's no hunger, and most of all, people don't die. Like, you can jump off a building and you'll be revived. But the only way to kind of control population is with this group called the Scythe, and they are the only ones that can officially kill someone. So if a Scythe kills you, you are dead. You are not to be brought back to life. And Sorcerer and Rowan get sort of taken in. They have an experience with the same Scythe, and then he takes them both on as apprentices, and this book follows them through their apprentice year. I was not usually a dystopian, utopian reader fan, so I wasn't really like looking to read this book, but I just couldn't think of anything else I wanted to pick up at my library, and this book was there, so I picked it up. But man, oh man, I was proven wrong. This book blew me away. Like, I could hardly put it down. It was such a quick and fun and fast read. I loved the world, which is something I usually don't like with dystopian and utopians, which is why I don't tend to read them. But I loved this world. I love these characters, and I cannot wait to pick up the next book. The reason I rated this like a 3.75 was because I did feel like the second half of the book kind of, some things felt a little too rushed. There's things that happened that I felt like they should have maybe been explained a little bit more, given a little more time to grow, rather than just like 2 chapters and we're done. And I'm like, this was actually a pretty important thing that happened. Like, okay, now we're just skipping over it. Cannot wait to pick up Thunderhead. Is there an audiobook for Thunderhead? I don't do audiobooks, but I'm about to take a 10-hour plane ride and I need something that'll keep me occupied, because movies and reading is not gonna do that, and I can hardly sleep on planes. So there we go. That's my May and June wrap up. Again, I'm very sorry. It's been like 2 months since I've uploaded anything, but I'm just lazy and I've been busy. But also don't get too used to this because I'm about to go on a like 3-week trip. So I am planning on making some sort of video about that. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked. If you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button, write a comment, let me know something. And anyway, thank you guys for watching. I know I'll see you guys again with another video soon, I hope. Bye. No, no, no.